So, Cantarella rolls today. As per usual, I'll be starting off with with testing out the character. No, not this, but over here. And then after the rolls, I'm gonna air out some dirty laundry about Wuthering Waves, about some grievances that I do have about Wuthering Waves, mainly because it's like, I mean, I'm still gonna continue playing the game. I'm still gonna continue to play the game. But it's just like minor things that I'm like, why would they do this? Right. So we'll get to it one day. But yeah, I'll wait until after the rolls to really air that out because yeah, I don't want to be annoying too much. So yeah. Wait, what the balls? Oh, I switched. Okay. I haven't realized that because it was still midway through. But yeah, we'll leave all the thoughts for later on. There you go. Nice. And yeah. Oh, whoops. I should probably do this. I don't know what I'm doing. So, as for Cantarella herself, I don't really mind if I don't get her. I know when I was rolling for I was rolling for Phoebe. I was like, okay, I'm fine with not. I'm gonna roll for Cantarella and then like I'm gonna roll for a Shorekeeper. But now as Cantarella arrives, I'm like, do I really want her? And it's like, do I really want her? Who knows? So anyways, so whether or not I get her, I don't really mind. So yeah, doesn't really matter to me that much, to be honest. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Okay. Don't tell me I'm gonna have to hit Penny for this. Yikes. That's purple. Yep. Oh, that's absolute. Oh wow, my roll. the game heard me say, oh yeah, you don't want Cantarella? Okay. We won't give you Cantarella at all. But that's fine, because I'm, like, again, like, it's not like I really care that much about her. Okay. It's gonna be a Verena. I got Jonathaned. So if you don't know what the context behind Jonathan is, basically I was talking to some friends, and then one of them misheard her name as Jonathan. I was like, yeah. So apparently she's now known as Jonathan, and there's nothing that we can do about it. Okay, Jonathan. Honestly, my main goal is just to collect enough corals for Shorekeeper, whatever these Afterglow corals are for Shorekeeper, because that's really who I'm aiming for. Again, I really don't mind I really don't mind Cantarella all that much. I mean, do I really need this? No, I don't. I'm gonna save that for Zanny, I guess, when she comes out next time. I did not even level her up. Oh my god. I like sticking to my teams because I'm like, I'm out of resources to build. Like, I would prefer just focusing on my current characters. But yeah, so that was Cantarella rolls. Didn't really save up that much for her. Actually, do I even have enough for, whoops, wrong thing. Do I even have enough for 226? Ugh, I'm 100 off. Oh, my heart. Alright, that's gonna hurt. But again, we're just trying to get C1 for Shorekeeper. Okay, so now let's talk about the dirty laundry. Let's air out the dirty laundry. My problems with Wuthering Waves. So I've played Wuthering Waves for a long time, right? I've played, I played it for a long time. And I've also met people through Wuthering Waves, right? I've met friends through Wuthering Waves. But the problem is they're also dropping out. And that actually got me thinking about what I actually wanted from Wuthering Waves. because I've always had my grievances with Wuthering Waves, right? I've made it very clear every time I play like a storyline, a main storyline from Wuthering Waves. I do have issues with Wuthering Waves and how they handle things, right? So the first thing is, well, let's just say their character releases and their character utilities. So whenever Wuthering Waves really releases something, releases a new character, right? You never really know if they have a chance to, like, if it's gonna pay off, right? If you roll for them, or if you're gonna get the full value of them, right? I mean, even just Chorli from 1.1, right? There's actually, if I remember correctly, there's actually a buff that you can't really make full use of, right? Yeah, you couldn't really make full use of her just because of the because her role was kind of up in the air. She was like a sub DPS but also DPS, and that sort of made her like outro awkward as well. So it made her like buff kind of awkward for her outro. So again, that's just like, again, that's a character from 1.1, right? Whose niche has not been sort of fully fulfilled. And that sort of leads into like, will your characters actually have like proper attention? Because if you know Mr. Green Dragon General, he still does not have a dedicated support. You can say that Air Rover, right? You can say Air Rover over here is a support for him, which, yes, because he does buff Arrow, but Mr. Green Dragon General also does not make use of Arrow erosion. So in this case, Air Rover is not necessarily a dedicated support for him, right? He is a build-up to a character who may or may not utilize Arrow erosion in the future. We don't really know, right? And sort of like Phoebe as well, because if we look at Phoebe, right, when she was released, and even prior to that, right, we knew that she was gonna use Spectral Frazzle, and then Spectrover would apply like Spectral Frazzle, right? We also, like, she's still lacking like someone who can actually just apply, right, Spectral Frazzle, right? We do have to rely on Spectrover. So again, she is technically missing a dedicated support, right? So again, that's a few characters who are still missing their specific niche, right? And then now we have the release of Cantarella. Cantarella, in this instance, we don't know if she's going to pay off in the future. Well, we do know she's going to pay off in the future, but we're not allowed to really talk about it. So we do know that she's going to pay off in the future. Right now, she's being used as a support for Konshi because she has coordinated attacks. But she also has a second part, which is Havoc sort of damage increase, right? Which Konshi is Spectro, so she can't really pair with Konshi all that much. So Cantarella, in this instance, we don't know if she's actually going to pay off, or again, much like Chorli, much like Phoebe, like, will she have some other resonators that fit her niche, right? We don't know that. Will it pay off? Who knows? So Kuro has a habit of releasing characters that have a niche, but that niche does not correspond with the resonators that are currently in the game, right? They're just sort of there, and the players just don't really know if it's going to pay off in the near future. So that's one point that I've seen a couple of people talk about. The second one is fan service. And so in this instance, this really stuck out to me, especially back when Orlier came out, because Orlier is a relatively flat character, right? She does not have big assets, and then that's when people start realizing, oh, the jiggle physics are absolutely out of control. So we just look at Cantarella right here, right? Just the briefest of movements causes her Badahu Hankurinos to just move, right? Now, to be fair, I'm fine to be absolutely like playing devil's like not playing devil's advocate, but to be frank, or to be honest, or whatever the word is, I'm fine with big assets, right? I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. But also, the jiggle physics just don't look good. This does it just having them sway in the wind does not make them look good. There's no reason why they should be swaying in the wind for absolutely no reason, right? It just doesn't look good. Even for flatter characters, right? Even for flatter characters like Camellia over here, there's still a ridiculous this is a ridiculous amount of jiggle physics. And it does not look good. I'm fine with fan service if it looks good, but this does not look good. I'm also fine with fan service if it's done tastefully and if it's, in terms of character design, it corresponds with the character design. Right? I don't understand why her dress is parted down the center. She's a battle maniac. There's no reason why this part over here should be parted, right? So in terms of character design, again, there are ways to execute fan service as long as it connects to the character and how they are as in terms of personality. If we look at Cantarella, right? Why is that part exposed, right? She's the head of the Physalia family. You expect something that's a bit more regal, but instead you have this. And it's this is fan service for the sake of fan service, which I would try to avoid to use this term, but it is very Gunnar-esque. Like, again, I don't want to say it, but it is. Because there's no reason for this part fan service to actually exist. Now, people may call me like, oh man, you're such a, like, I don't know what they're gonna call me, I don't care. But, like, fan service can be done. Fan service can be done well. This is not fan service that is done well because it does not match the character, and there's no reason for it to exist in the first place, right? So it's just there. It's just there for certain types of people, right? Right, so now let's talk about the story, which I've been pretty vocal about, and I think a lot of people have been vocal that the 1.x series has been pretty not up to par with what the story should have been. So, to Kuro's credit, their ability to make strong moments and strong aesthetics is unparalleled. Every moment that every big moment that they have is extremely well executed, and also, like, again, the aesthetics of everything is just so good, right? Everything is just looks phenomenal. It sounds phenomenal. I don't really have an issue with that. The thing is, in terms of story, is pacing, right? Pacing, and a lot of people have complained about this. Pacing is absolutely an issue because they just tend to rush things, right? And because they're rushing things, the characters do tend to suffer. In 2.0, I was really happy. The story was decent, it was good, and then because it was 8 hours long, we got to know the characters a bit more intimately, and they got more time to sort of shine, and we got to see a lot more sort of details about them, right? Phoebe, even though she never really truly vocalizes it, we see that she struggles with the order and all of its teachings, right? We see Rochia's sort of loneliness, all that stuff. So we do see a lot of aspects of that, even if it's not like shoved down her throat. In 2.2, right, they sort of forgo that, right? And okay, also in 2.0's credit, they also built up a lot of things for the following chapters. And again, 2.2 again just rushes through everything. So if we try and think about the Physalias, right, just Cantarella on her own, Cantarella on her own was something. She was definitely not a character that I think a lot of people really... Okay, so because in terms of so throughout 2.2, right? Throughout the entirety of 2.2, we've been told that the Thessalias were this big evil family that worshipped the Thrunodian, Leviathan, and then we've also been told that, you know, they're the opposing family to the Montellis, right? And then in 2.2, they straight up just dismiss it, which they just dismiss it in the form of, oh yeah, they were just all rumors. And then you're left with, is that okay? Like, I'm not sure if I should be okay with that. And it's really interesting because I would have been fine with the rumors excuse. I would have been absolutely fine with the rumors excuse if, right, and only if, I would have been fine with the rumors excuse if throughout 2.0 they built up these seeds of doubt. They built up seeds of doubt that, oh, maybe the Thessalias aren't what they're made up to be, right? But then they also kind of just forget that both Carlotta and Cantarella are kind of like crime families. Like they straight up engaged in like a shootout, if I remember correctly, like gang wars, and you're like, okay, I feel like we should have addressed this, but they sweep it under the rug because, yes, waifu. So, again, in terms of just build up, it's kind of a disappointment as well, because a lot of the things that they were building up to just aren't delivered appropriately, or they just rush through the delivery. So another example is just Cartizia, right? Where right, she was like, oh, is she like the resonator of both the Thrunodian and of the Sentinel? Which she is, right? Which she is. But then you also have Nova, right? Doing all this like scheming in the background. And then she just sort of just watches the Thrunodian die, right? And you're like, wait, I thought the Fraxidius were supposed to worship the Thrunodian. And then you're like, okay, no, she just watches the Thrunodian die, and you're like, okay, I guess they're not really on the same side? It's like, what's going on here? Oh my god, there's so many of you guys. Now I did the wrong thing. Oh, there. Yeah, good enough. But yeah, there's a lot of things that they sort of abandon, or they just sort of rush through. And it makes it so that the story doesn't feel deserved at all, which is a shame, because 2.0 just set up so many good things that you're like, this is a shame that they didn't capitalize off of it. Right? So in terms of, this is again like something about like the consistency of everything, where they seem to have problems with committing to things, right? They seem to have a problem with committing to things in terms of, oh, is this character truly evil and all that stuff, right? And you're like, are they truly evil? And you're like, but like, I don't, because then the redemption arcs aren't well done either. So you're like, because again, Cantarella did not have a redemption arc because she was apparently never evil right from the get-go. So you're like, oh, that's kind of okay. So again, it feels like a lot of things just get swept under the rug because they can't really commit to things. Right, they can't really commit to plot lines, and as soon as like a plot line is introduced, they tend to just rush it straight through. And I started repeating myself because I was just focusing on the crisis, on the virtual crisis. But yeah, they do have a thing with commitment. They're committing like characters and all that stuff, right? Sorry, I'm not, because I don't have a script right now. So in terms of commitment, they can't really commit to certain things, and this applies especially to the lack of stakes in this game. There's no stakes in this game, right? Like, like the moment that Cortezia was quote unquote killed in the game, I was like, there's no way they're gonna kill her, and lo and behold, she is still alive, because they can't commit to the idea that a character can die, and then as a result, there's no stakes. Imagine if like this is something that my friends have been discussing. What if Shorekeeper got erased, right? What if she got erased in the 1.3 story? But in some way, she got brought back because she's still Data, right? She got brought back in the form of like a hologram or something, but she has no memory of Rover, right? That would still be keeping her technically alive, but she wouldn't be the same. But it will also introduce stakes into the game, because now there's no stakes because Rover can just save everyone, and it's just why, right? And this does sort of relate to the gacha system, which is the convene system, right? Where you summon allies to help you. Because you're summoning allies, you can't necessarily summon dead allies, right? They have to be alive in the story. And so the moment that you see a character in the banner, you know that they're not gonna die. You know that automatically there's no stakes involved. And this is something that I praised Duet Night Abyss for, is that, well, okay, so spoiler for Duet Night Abyss. In the game, in Duet Night Abyss, they have something called the retrace system, which is their gacha system. For Duet, for the retrace system, it allows the protagonist to basically just summon anyone that they've met in the past or that they will meet in the future, right? It doesn't specify that they have to be alive. This means that the characters in the story can die and they can still appear in the character banners in the gacha. So now there's actually stakes. Now you don't know who's going to die in the story. But because this gacha system exists, and because Kuro just can't commit to characters and commit to plot lines, there's really no stakes in the story, right? Which is fine. Like, obviously it's fine, but also, why does like we know Rover's like a god, right? At this point, we know that he's the god of gods, but he shouldn't be at full power. He is not currently at full power. So the fact that he is still winning and he is not at full power, it's still like, okay, like there's still no stakes, because even though he's depowered, he's still winning at everything. You're like, okay then. So that's just sort of a bummer. So yeah, it's honestly, I do wish that they could have done a lot more for things, right? So I think that's. So I'm very scatterbrained right now because the fact that I played the Virtual Crisis just completely uprooted my my thinking right now. So that was a thing. That was absolutely a thing. So we have that. God, there's also something else I want to talk about, but I don't remember. Also, yeah, consistency in terms of world building. Remember? Okay, so let's look at the first city we're starting off in, right? Let's look at the first city that we're starting off in. Right? because this game was actually supposed to be set in a post-apocalyptic world where the lament ravaged everything, right? This is supposed to be a world that is still recovering from the brink of this, that has been rebuilt, right? After the lament has destroyed everything. But then, like, and you can see that throughout this region. You can see all the destroyed buildings, all that stuff, right? So you can clearly tell that this place has been through a lot of stuff and that this place is a post-apocalyptic region. And then you move on to Renacita. And then all of that is basically thrown out the window. This doesn't feel like a post-apocalyptic world anymore. This is just another fantasy world. Which is like okay, you get the darker undertones of the story, right? Of the city in you get this darker undertones of the city, right? Oh wow, there's water now. Interesting. Wait, was there always water? I don't know if there was always water, but you get the darker undertones from that, right? And that's fine. But then you also, like, this is not post-apocalyptic at all. You can tell from the way that they actually start designing their characters, right? Look at their facial features, right? They're a bit more sharp over here, and then you have something like this, which is more round-eyed, right? More round-eyed, a lot more brightly colored, right? Right, round-eyed. So, and then in terms of consistency, even in the world setting, it seems to be lacking because now it's no longer post-apocalyptic. It feels like they completely forgot about that. And now in character design as well, it does reflect that as well. Because I completely forgot that this game was supposed to be post-apocalyptic. So I'm like, oh, right, that's a thing. Maybe it's because like Kura realized, oh, we already did the post-apocalyptic sort of setting with punishing Grey Raven, and now we want to do something else. But then this region feels like a completely different game from the first region, and then it completely forgets about the setting. So that's another thing in terms of consistency, right? So that is another thing. So I'm really hoping that they manage to patch up a couple of those things. I mean, because I do enjoy the game, but it's also like, God, 2.2, the 2.2 story was actually such a letdown in terms of what I wanted as a follow-up from 2.0, right? So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, is that it? I feel like that's it. I feel like that's it in terms of what I have to say about my current displeasures about the game. Oh, what about the news? Double echo. Cool. But yeah. So sorry if this has just been a long rant. I did try and fill up the space with the virtual crisis, but yeah, I think that about wraps it up for me today. Yeah, sorry about the fact I'm just ranting about Wuthering Waves. But yeah, hope you guys have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on when and where you are. And see you guys next time. I'll obviously still be playing Wuthering Waves, but I'll mainly be playing for the combat and all that stuff. I don't really know if I'm going to be playing all that much for the story. I do hope that gets better, but it's there in terms of consistency, in terms of quality, it's sort of been hit or miss for me. There are moments and aesthetics have been top notch, but because the build up to those moments have been lackluster in my opinion, it really takes away from the impact of those moments, even if they look visually stunning. But yeah, Alright, take care everyone. Bye bye. See you, and take care. Bye.